response was, I don't know, it's a little long, so I'll try to be a little quicker. I'll not name that player. I'm going to start with a few thank yous. Every year I always thank this person, and it became even more difficult last year with Lily, but thank you to Ashley, my wife, very much, because she makes a lot of sacrifices for this program during the season, and including chasing Lily around after a day of work, and I appreciate everything she does. And to Lily as well, even though she might not know what I'm doing all the time. I do miss her during practices and games, so it's nice that I have that support at home, and that goes along with my parents and my wife's parents for taking care of Lily during the season. Oftentimes when we're together doing what we're doing, working hard in the gym. So thank you to them. Thank you to the administration, who Dr. Beda was here, and Mrs. Lafayette and Mr. Curley for their support. Coach Bateman, thank you so much for the season. I think the first day we talked about you coaching, I said we're probably going to spend more time together than we will with our family over the next 3 months, and there are times where it definitely felt like that. So I appreciate all the support and hard work you put into the season. Really looking forward to kind of developing everything together over the next few years. Courtney, who wasn't able to make it tonight, our trainer, came pretty close to some of our players, which is excellent, and she really helped out keeping players on the court whenever possible. So thank her. The Booster Club, thank you for everything you did in pulling off events like tonight, like senior night, like everything else that you do throughout the season. I know a lot of parents are involved in a lot of things that I see and a lot of things that I don't see, so thank you for all your support, either in front of the scenes or behind the scenes. It goes a long way, and I appreciate it. And lastly, thank you so much to the players. Your hard work and commitment throughout the season is unbelievable, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you did this season. Okay, talk about the varsity season a little bit. Past 3 years, we've been talking a lot about progress, and talking about the fact that progress isn't always a linear thing. It's not always just keep walking forward in a straight line. Sometimes you take steps backwards, sometimes you take steps left, right, up, down, whatever way. And I talked to the girls about that a lot this season, and talked about a lot of the things that we did to move in the right direction, individually and collectively. So we did make a lot of individual improvements throughout the year, and at the same time we were able to incorporate a lot of new players into the program who were among those that made a lot of individual improvements. Comparing this season to last season, statistically, just progress was across the board. More points scored, more field goals made, more rebounds offensively and defensively, more assists, more steals, more blocks, less turnovers, less fouls. So across the board, just huge progress from game 1 to game 20 each season. There's also games, like Coach Bateman indicated, that you can really look at and put your finger on and say, you know, that's a game that we really demonstrated where we've come. Medfield has lost their first game in the league this year. They haven't lost in the league for 3 years. In the second half, we cut their lead to 6, and that's a team that's still playing right now in the final 8 in the state tournament. So a game like that stands out. A game against Millis, who's won the state championship last year in their division, who we pushed to overtime, and just in one of our better performances of the season. That game stands out. Both games against Canton obviously stand out, and then finishing the season just convincingly with a great performance at Milford stands out. And I think that's a great starting point for us to build confidence-wise going forward, just preparing this off-season, getting ready for next season. Beyond the basketball court, I think we ideally create a lot of memories. There's things that stand in my mind that the girls say, and I'm not always present for them. A lot of these are locker room things that I have to ask about because I don't know what's going on. And sometimes I'm scared to ask, and sometimes the stories are pretty funny. And I think a lot of those stand out to me in terms of looking back on the season. Just little expressions that, like, Christy, take a charge, like things like that just stand out, and that I didn't understand, but I hear the girls say it, and that's the thing that makes me realize that they're really doing a good job of bonding together and making some memories. And then just other things that we do outside the court. One thing we did this year was we adopted a child for Christmas, and we provided her family, or her, with Christmas gifts. And I thought that was great. I thought it was a great way for our team to give back to the community. And that was one of our goals going into the season, and I was happy to see us follow through on that. So hopefully we can do more of that going forward. And we're going to get to the individual certificates. So. All right. The first player had a few games that really stood out to me and just kind of demonstrated her potential to be just an excellent basketball player. The first one was at Medway, or actually, sorry, at home against Medway, where. Go ahead. You can. Okay. Yeah, we can. All right. I was going to save those for the end of the night, so we grabbed them and left. All right. The first one is a player that really showed her potential at against Medway. Just kind of sparked us in the second half and went on a run that I was kind of just amazed by. It was early in the season, and she really demonstrated her abilities. And she followed up with a huge jumper in our win against Canton in the second half, a baseline jumper that really put us back in the game and just showed her potential for the future, and that's Abby Kurtzer.
Yeah, Abby!
This is Abby's first varsity. Yeah. And if you want to do the gifts?
Yeah, the senior gifts are good.
Yeah. The second person is, the thing that stood out to me about this person is there was never a day that she wasn't the first person in the gym, which just demonstrated her work ethic start to finish. I think on Sundays, there were some Sundays where I walked in the gym, the lights go on, I unlocked the basketballs, and the second I took the rack out, she was there to get ready for practice and shoot around. One of my expressions that I like to use is, are you waiting for practice or are you preparing for practice? And she seemed like she was preparing for practice every day. This is our first varsity letter, that's Meg Nichols. The next player, another freshman who just demonstrated her scoring ability and really just made constant progress throughout the season on the offensive and defensive end. Two games that stick out to me are just two back-to-back games where it was double-digit scoring nights for her. Has the ability to get to the basket, has the ability to shoot the basketball, and I'm really looking forward to watching her develop on both ends of the court. This is their first varsity letter, that's Abby Fallon. This next player was actually nominated as Most Improved last year throughout the season, and her progress only continued this year from freshman year to sophomore year. She just continued to really make progress from start to finish. She scored the majority of her points in the paint this season, which wasn't the same last year, which was something that we tried to emphasize in the offseason, and she obviously worked hard at that. And that's this is her second varsity letter. That's Christy Brennan. This next player does a lot of everything for us. She led us in nearly every statistical category, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more in a minute, and that's Maddie Murphy.
Yeah, Maddie!
And next player is somebody that, again, one of our most consistent players. We're fortunate that she's comfortable kind of facing the basket or with her back to the basket. She can do a lot of things for us, including handling the basketball when needed. She made a ton of progress this offseason and just continued to get better throughout the season. and went on a stretch where she was really a player that we needed on the floor at all times, and that's Kayla O'Keefe.
Yeah, Kayla!
The final 4 people we have here are our seniors, all right, and they're the people that we really want to recognize tonight for all their hard work and commitment to the program over the last few years. This group made a lot of sacrifices for this program, starting 3 years ago and continuing to this season. There were ups and downs for this group for the last 4 years, and I can't thank them enough for their commitments and their hard work over the last, for me 3 years, but for them 4 years. They were truly persistent, and I have a lot of respect for them for that. The first one I'm going to call up is receiving her 4th varsity letter. She excels academically, as all these girls do, which is always wonderful. She defensively was one of the best on-the-ball defenders that we have, and she was like that for 3 years. One of the highlights of hers that stand out to me was in our last game of the season in her career against Milford. She finished a reverse layup. And the thing that stood out to me the most about that was when we do reverse mic-in, which is a drill that we do, and we have teams, if somebody can pick who they want to be on their team, she's the one that people pick to do that drill. They want her because they feel confident she's going to be the one to win that drill for her team. And I thought it was just a great way for her to, you know, I don't know if it was her final 2 of the game or if it was not, but a great way for her to kind of capitalize on her last game, and that's Marissa Amato.
Yeah, Marissa!
She gets... Yep.
Woohoo!
Player is also receiving her 4th varsity letter. She unfortunately had a lot of missed games due to health for part of the season, and she battled through a lot of trials and tribulations this season. The game that sticks out to me for her was at Ashland when I think we were down 6 at the half, and they kind of started to pull away in the second half. And she just came out in the second half aggressive and on fire and just made 3 threes. They were almost in the same stretch of the game. Another one that excels academically and also actually just won a huge art award as well, so congratulations to her on that. And she's somebody that I talked to because she shoots at such a high percentage because she's pretty selective with shots she takes. I tried to encourage her to shoot and be unselfish, and then that Ashland game that really stood out to me, and that's Chloe Gill.
Yeah, Chloe!
The next player is also receiving her 4th varsity letter. She's not only a captain for us, but she's actually a 3-sport captain. She's finishing her career with 254 points and 53 3-pointers. The game that I think sticks out to me the most was just the game-winning shot against Canton at home. A huge 3-pointer where she stepped right in and knocked that down. And I think one of the things that, reflecting back on that shot, that stood out to me was that was almost identical to a shot that she actually hit in Summer League against Bishop Fien on court 2 at Masquerade. And it was almost the identical situation where it wasn't at the buzzer, but it was the last possession that we had of the game pretty much. And the ball came out to her on the same left wing, and she hit this basically identical shot. And it just was great to see that somebody that spent the time and made a shot in the summer league kind of followed through and in the same situation at home against Canton was able to do the same thing. That's Ashley Pelletier.
Yeah, Ashley!
Our final senior was a player that I can't stress enough how important this is. Is a player that rarely ever misses the opportunity to block out or box out, and that's practices and games. If a shot goes up, she's going to find a body and hit a body, and it's something that I talked to her about in the preseason and something that she did throughout the season. She took on a role this season that's not an easy role for any player to take on, and she handled herself wonderfully. She was positive, she was energetic. There were times we were going to the locker room at the half, and she was kind of nudging me and saying, "Did you look at this yet, or did you see this?" Distinctly, I remember a game where one of their key players came out of the game, and I remember as I walked down the sideline, I think I got a poke on the shoulder that said, "Did you? She's out. Let's go. Let's get. Let's adjust here. She's out of the game right now." So she's alert and in the game, whether she was on the court or not. The Millis game at home is a game that stands out to me as a game where she, I know she had a big 2-point field goal and then followed that up with, I think, a huge loose ball on the floor recovery for us. Not only does she contribute on the court, she's also, like the other girls, academically stellar, and that's Jill Puffos.
Yeah, Jill! Good work on the court, Jill! Boy, you're... Mr. and Mrs. Foster, you must be proud of your daughter, Jill.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, we don't have the plaques ready for our awards, but we will go through and name off our recipients regardless. Our most improved off-season award. All right, so this is the person that from the end of from this night last year to the start of the season made the most improvements. And this is an award that it's given by me. And I already told the girls who won this award, but I'd like to recognize them publicly in this format. Day one, it was very obvious, the first day of tryouts, that she had worked this off-season to get better. And I think the most important thing is that she was very intentional in what she worked at. When the season started, she was more comfortable in the post than she was prior in the previous year. And I asked her, I said, "Oh, what did you do this off-season to improve in the post?" And she said, like, quickly and clearly, "I worked really hard at it. I really worked at getting better in the post." And it was great to see her, and statistically she backed that up with her play this season. That's Kayla O'Keefe. The next award is the Most Improved Award for the regular season. This is an award that was voted on by your peers. This player started the year playing some JV minutes to try to introduce her to the varsity basketball program. She made a ton of improvements on the offensive end of the court. Some of the things that I focused on with her, or we talked about a lot, was shot selection, improving your scoring ability, and just getting more comfortable in the offensive sets. She improved on the defensive end immensely as well, and that's something that she worked on and started to take more and more pride in. Her on-the-ball defense really stood out to me, as well as her willingness and ability to attack the ball and get some rebounds for us, and that's Abby Thiam. The next award is our MVP award. Again, this is voted on by the peers, or by your peers. I think for this player, the stats kind of speak for themselves. So she finished the season with 306 points, which is 15.3 points per game, which is the 4th best in our league. In our league, two of the players ahead of her, one's a McDonald's All-American nominee and one's a Gatorade Player of the Year nominee. She shot 75% from the foul line, averaged almost 10 rebounds a game, 2 steals a game, 1 block a game, led the team with assists, and she broke the school record for scoring in a single game. And she's the 6th person since 1980 to score more than 300 points in a season at Norton High School. That's a lot of players that have played at Norton High School that haven't accomplished that feat. 2nd year in a row, this is Maddie Murphy.
Yeah, Maddie! Woohoo!
The next award is the JFK Award. This award is given for general leadership ability as well as in the classroom consideration and on-the-court performance and team play. I was impressed with this person's leadership ability in the preseason, well, prior to that, but in the preseason when they approached me with their fellow captains and said, I think we should run a 3-on-3 tournament this preseason. And then that group really took the initiative and ran with it and did a nice job pulling that event off. She's a member of the National Honor Society, and I had the privilege to write a letter of recommendation for this young woman, and that was a really difficult task, and there's other players that I've done the same for, and it was a really difficult task. Took a lot of time to edit and proofread and try to squeeze in all of her extracurriculars, all of her commitments, and everything she's done as a part of this program and as a part of her high school career. And that is Marissa Amato. The next award is the Coaches Award. This player is a senior that took on, as I said, a difficult role earlier. And I've seen a lot of people in that position and not handle themselves nearly as gracefully and as well as she did throughout the entire season. She was positive every day in practice, positive every day in the games. Definitely gave everything she had on the court, not only this year but for the last 3 years. She went above and beyond. One memory that sticks out is going to a middle school practice. I invited any player that was available, so that whoever had the time availability to go with me to go, and she was there. And not only did she help me lead a practice, she also jumped in and contributed and did her best to coach up the 8th grade group. I was impressed with her honestly throughout the last 4 years, but this season really handled herself beautifully and gave us everything she had, and that's Jill Popowski.
Yeah, Jill!
Last award that I have here is the Lancer Award, Lancer Pride Award. This goes to a special guest that isn't always necessarily a part of the program. This individual is probably our loudest and proudest fan, and we appreciate all of his support. And I know that I feel like he's getting ready. I know that all of our athletics appreciate his support, and I know our girls do as well. It's a privilege to have him at our games and cheering us on, and that's Peter Wiggins.
Yeah! Woo! Thank you very much, Mr. Langmead. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Langmead. Woo-hoo! Yeah, baby! Yeah, that's a bag. Proud to be a Lancer fan. Woohoo!
Why don't we have the girls come up and receive your awards now? Does that work? Yeah, let's do that, and then we can get a photo up. So, seniors, you have yours currently. You can look through them and then just join us for the picture. And then everybody else, varsity girls, yours are right here. All right, JV girls, yours are right here. Just grab yours and stay up here so you can get a picture. Let's go.
I waste my time shuffling today.
Oh my god! Oh.